The Deuteronomy catch-up video today is Deuteronomy chapter 4. Hear now, O Israel, the decrees and laws I am about to teach you. Follow them so that you will live and may go and take possession of the land that the Lord your God, the God of your fathers, is giving you. Do not add to what I command you, and do not subtract from it, but keep the commands of the Lord your God that I give you. You saw with your own eyes what the Lord your God did at Baal-peor. The Lord your God destroyed from among you everyone who followed the Baal of Peor. But all of you who held fast to the Lord your God are still alive today. See, I have taught you decrees and laws as the Lord my God commanded me, so that you may follow them in the land that you are entering to take possession of it. Observe them carefully, for this will show your wisdom and understanding to the nations, who will hear about all these decrees and say, "Surely this great nation is wise and understanding people." What other nation is so great to have their God near them in the way that the Lord our God is near us whenever we pray to him? And what other nation is so great as to have such righteous decrees and laws as this body of laws I am setting before you today? Only be careful and watch yourselves closely so that you do not forget the things that your eyes have seen or let them slip from your heart. As long as you live, teach them to your children and their children after them. Remember the day you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, when he said to me, "Assemble my people before me to hear my words, so that they may learn to revere me as long as they live in the land and may teach them to their children." You came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, while it blazed with fire to the very heavens, with black clouds and deep darkness. Then the Lord spoke to you out of the fire. You heard the sound of the words, but saw no form. There was only a voice. He declared to you his covenant, 10 commandments, which he commanded you to follow, and then wrote them on 2 stone tablets. And the Lord directed me at that time to teach you the decrees and laws that you are following in the land, that you are crossing over the Jordan to possess. You saw no form of any kind that day. The Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the fire. Therefore watch yourselves very carefully, so that you do not become corrupt, and make yourselves an idol in the image of any shape, whether formed like a man or a woman, or like an animal or on the earth, or any bird that flies in the air, or like any creature that moves along the ground, or any fish in the water below. And when you look up to the sky and see the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the heavenly array, do not be enticed into bowing down to them, and worshipping things that the Lord your God has appointed to all the nations under heaven. But as for you, the Lord took you and brought you up out of Egypt, out of the iron-smelting furnace, out of Egypt, to be the people of his inheritance, as you now are. The Lord was angry with me because of you, and he solemnly swore that I would not cross the Jordan and enter the good land that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. I will die in this land. I will not cross the Jordan, but you are about to cross over and take possession of the good land. Be careful not to forget the covenant of the Lord your God that he made with you. Do not make for yourselves idols in any form of anything the Lord your God has forbidden. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. After you have had children and grandchildren, and have lived in the land a long time, if you then become corrupt and make any kind of idol, doing evil in the eyes of the Lord your God, and provoking him to anger, I call heaven and earth as witness against you this day that you will quickly perish from the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess. You will not live there long, but will certainly be destroyed. The Lord will scatter you among the people, and only a few of you will survive among the nations which the Lord will drive out. There you will worship man-made gods of wood and stone, which cannot see or hear or eat or smell. But if from there you seek the Lord your God, you will find him, if you look for him with all your heart, with all your soul. When you are in distress and all these things have happened to you, then, in the later days, you will return to the Lord your God, and obey him, for the Lord your God is a merciful God. He will not abandon or destroy you or forget his covenant with your forefathers, which he confirmed to them by an oath. Ask now about the former days, long before your time, from the day before God created men on the earth. Ask from one end of the heavens to the other. Has anything so great as this ever happened? Or has anything like it ever been heard of? Has anyone heard the voice of God speaking out of a fire, as you have, and lived? Has any God ever tried to take for himself a nation out of another nation, by testing, by miraculous signs and wonders, by war, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, or by great and awesome deeds, like the things that the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your very eyes? You were shown these things so that you might know that the Lord is God. Besides him there is no other. From heaven he made you, and made you hear his voice to discipline you. On the earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words from out of the fire. Because he loved your forefathers and chose their descendants after them, he brought you out of Egypt by his presence and his great strength, to drive out before you nations greater and stronger than you, and to bring you into the land, to give it to you as your inheritance as it is today. Acknowledge and take to heart this day that the Lord your God is in heaven above and on the earth below. There is no other. Keep his decrees and commands, which I am giving you today, so that it may go well with you and your children after you, and that you may live long in the land that the Lord your God gives you for all time. Then Moses set aside 3 cities east of the Jordan, to which anyone who had killed a person could flee. If he had unintentionally killed his neighbor without malice aforethought, he could flee into those cities and save his life. The cities were there: Bezer in the desert plateau of the Reubenites, the Ramoth in Gilead for the Gileadites, the Golan in Bashan for the Manassites. This is the law Moses set before the Israelites. These are the stipulations and decrees that laws Moses gave them when they came out of Egypt and were in the valley near Beth Peor, east of the Jordan, in the land of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon, and was defeated by Moses and the Israelites as they came out of Egypt. They took possession of his land and the land of Og, king of Bashan, and 2 Amorite kings east of the Jordan. The land extended from Aroer to the rim of the Arnon Gorge and to Mount Sion, that is, Hermon, and included all of the Arabah east of the Jordan as far as the sea of the Arabah, below the slopes of Pisgah. So that was Deuteronomy chapter 4.